I moved up pretty quickly within the 5 years that I was there as a bartender. They were like, we're just going to try this new tactic. Let's just throw you to the wolves on a Friday night during happy hour. I was like, woo-woos. It was dirty. Make it green,
Sex on the
creamy.
beach.
Make it pink.
Yeah.
Make it red. Make it whatever. I learned how to bartend, I guess, by color, because it was all shots. They're like, and I'm like, what if I do it wrong? They're like, you can't give a shot back. I'm like, noted.
Thank you for tuning in to Serves You Right one more time. My name is Andrew, and today I have an awesome guest, Jillian Vose. Most of the bar and restaurant world know Jillian from The Dead Rabbit. I know that Jillian is a lot more than that, though, so we get to talk about her trajectory, where she came from, how she got into the bar, and honestly, so much more. Jillian is awesome. She's a powerhouse, and I think if you are serious about working in bars, serious about being the best bartender you can be, you can't skip this one. Without any further ado, here's Jillian, and thank you for listening to Serve You Right.
I wanted to start off, I heard through the grapevine that your introduction to bartending was a little bit chaotic. And I was wondering if you could regale us with that story.
Andrew, what else is new? Thank you for having me. It's really great to be here and to get to talk to you today. Yeah, it was. I started off as a food runner in a high volume place near a college in Tempe, Arizona, and it was a great place, great place to start. But I moved up pretty quickly within the 5 years that I was there as a bartender after a couple years, and they were like, we're just going to try this new tactic. Let's just throw you to the wolves on a Friday night during happy hour. And I was like, how do I make a red-footed doo-doo, I don't know, whatever it was, a woo-woo or
Blue Hawaiian or some shit like that. Yeah.
This was the early 2000s, so there was all sorts of, it was like woo-woos, it was dirty Girl Scouts, it was, make it green, creamy, make it pink, make it red, make it whatever. And I learned how to bartend, I guess, by color, because it was all shots. And they're like, what if I do it wrong? They're like, you can't give a shot back. I'm like, noted. So it was that kind of mentality. But then I kind of I was the girl that liked to do the cocktails and hit the wash line, because we were free pouring and had storm pours and, all that. We didn't have real citrus juice and stuff. So I liked doing it. So I became the girl that did all the cocktails. We were a brewery, so it was all draft. And that's how I started, and that's how I learned how to multitask and deal with volume and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, the best bartenders that I've seen, and I'm not the best bartender, but I'm decent at least. Everyone has somewhere in there that they did something high volume, even if it wasn't the most glorious of spots. Just you need that one place where it's Friday happy hour, you're getting crushed.
Yeah. You
need something like that to really pressurize you and get you going.
Yeah, it was crazy because I had worked there for a while, and it was weird. It was when you say the bar is a stage, that really happened to me, where even though I had felt comfortable working there with those people and knew the clientele, knew the regulars, being kind of I would go behind the bar and pour beers once in a while and did private parties and stuff and felt totally comfortable. But when I was there for that first night on shift, it was I was shaking, and it was weird. The bar was raised up and you felt this pressure to perform, even though I was good at serving and managing and all the other stuff. It was a weird thing. But after my friends were you'll be fine. And after an hour, I was okay. But, I really am thankful for that job. And definitely worked high volume and from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. So it's very seasonal, and, I've could pop 12 Bud Lights in one hand or whatever, that kind of thing. Those are the kind of, achievements I like to talk about.
It's a different thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know pressure until you're in the well at the Coyote Cantina in Santa Fe and you're trying to get out buckets of Cornitas and you're popping them yeah. I've got nightmares.
Oh my God, I didn't drop them. Or pouring the perfect pint of Guinness, that to me is the perfect cocktail.
Yes. Oh man, and I think it's so genius. I forget the exact way that they worded it, but it's worth the wait. Their whole advertising campaign for that, where it's just great things take time. It's yes.
Yeah.
Love it.
They've done some great campaigning since the beginning, 100%.
Did you have any sense when you were in Arizona or in Cape Cod that this was going to be something you'd be doing long term?
It was in Arizona that I realized quite young that I liked this more than I wanted to do anything else. Like I was in attempting college and always picking up shifts and always like being more social and like working in the hospitality industry was more important to me than going to school, which I know happens quite often. But I changed my major 3 or 4 times and I ended up being in hospitality administration or something like that at Northern Arizona University online. And then I would have had to fulfill that like the rest of it. Well, we don't know what would have happened because I ended up not finishing. But, I was sitting there next to, some younger kids that were working at Starbucks and just starting out. And I was like, I already work at this amazing, like, high-end, resort. And I already learned all this stuff. And I kind of was like, not to be an asshole, but, like, screw this. Like, I'd rather, like, learn by doing things. I do regret not finishing college, but I learned a lot. I was really good in school when I was interested, but when I'm not interested, forget about it. And that goes with anything I do. Like, if I'm not entertained or like something, like you can forget about me doing very well at it. So.
Yeah. No, I mean, so my problem, because I did keep going to school, and I had the good thing about St. John's and Santa Fe is there's only one major. It's old school liberal arts where it's all great books. So I didn't have the luxury of changing majors. So I think if I had that, I would not have gotten as far. But
I went to ASU, so.
Yeah, you had that. Yeah.
Sorry, people that went there.
All my friends pretty much in college did not have jobs, and I was always the one who had the cash. Because I mean, I look back and I realize that I was like a bar back, and I wasn't doing that great. But comparatively, I felt like I was doing awesome. It's that fast cash. You get it every night. Like I'd come back from my shift and be like, guys, I got $100. Like let's go party.
Yeah.
That fast feedback cycle.
I made more money in my early 20s than I did in New York City at any of my bar jobs.
Sure. I bet it. Yeah.
100%. I mean, like I spent it all at Target and Olive Garden, I think, pretty sure.
You did better than me. I spent it all at a little bar called the Matador. So fair enough. Yes.
No, I totally get what you're saying.
So what took you from Arizona to New York? Can you paint that picture?
So, I'm obviously, I grew up on the East Coast and, there was definitely a disconnect with, like, the type of, like, humor, the type of, I don't know, people, like, the way of life, I guess, that there's things about Arizona, and believe me, like, I still go back. 2 of my best friends live there, many good friends there. And so I'm still very well connected with the bar community. I think it's like booming. It's amazing. I think Arizona Cocktail Week is coming up this week, actually.
So quick shout out real fast. 10 years ago, it came up on my Facebook. I won Arizona Cocktail Week's last slinger.
Yes, you said that.
Yeah,
I don't think
funny
I was
enough.
judged then, was I?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't think so, though.
I was only judged once. And it's always really fun. And
that whole thing was like a fever dream, because I just, the whole time, like, I couldn't tell you any of the drinks or anything. I was just.
Yeah. It's like speed rack or like rematch, like doing that, like it's a blur because you're just like, you kind of almost like, I don't call it blackout, but I call it like yellowing out because you're just like,
oh yeah,
you don't even know.
No, it's like,
yeah.
The only thing in my system right now is 3 shots of tequila and cortisol, and that's it. I've harnessed that for somehow to do this, but yeah. So sorry to interrupt there. Yeah.
No. I like that throwback. It was I love it, the Arizona crew, and I still go back. Now I've been back actually quite a bit. As I said, I have some great friends and they have kids, and I've had some work stuff out there now that I'm like a free agent, if you will. So at a very young age, out of like Cape Cod, Massachusetts, small town, I was like, let's get the heck out of here. I was supposed to go to school in Boston, and I was like, no, like I don't want to do that route. So yeah, I was a bit of a rebellious child, kid, and so at 17, I moved to Arizona, one-way ticket, and got my car shipped. And me and my best friend lived out there, and she left, went back home, and which was a wonderful life. But I did my thing, and at a certain time, you saw what was going on in like San Francisco and LA and New York and even Boston at the time. And it was exciting, and we were like learning about it, and like Bar 5 Day was happening. And, we were in this like, tertiary market, and, we were all kind of growing and learning together, which was amazing. But I kind of hit a ceiling where like the people above me were I was never really going to get anywhere. And there was really nowhere else to go. And I was like 24. So it was kind of at that point where you're like, I want to go somewhere bigger. And I think East Coast is more my thing. I'm too brutal.
Yeah. The people on the West Coast are, they're a little bit too laid back.
Nothing wrong with it, but I don't want to have to bring a headshot to an interview and like
yes.
service. And where I worked at this one place where my boyfriend at the time was doing laundry, and he had a 5-year-old, 4-year-old, and he thought my tank top was his daughter's. Like, that's what you had to wear. Do you know what I mean?
Jesus.
And I was like, like this is not me. So I went back. I had been really into wine and everything, and so in fine dining, I really enjoyed that service element of fine dining. I loved like that discipline and that the steps of service, the education, and the camaraderie I had in that. And so I really went to New York thinking I was going to be in fine dining and like grow into being more of in a somm position. But I quickly realized that would take forever, and nobody can be a food runner and live in New York City. So I went more to the cocktail route and ended up taking Bar 5 Day before it got more complicated. Now I probably wouldn't pass, to be honest. It's funny, but I'm kidding. I would, but I hope. But that really opened up a lot of doors for me, and that's where I kind of met a lot of people, and that was great. So that's kind of how I got to New York.
That's awesome. Before we started filming, I said that you were my spiritual twin. I mean it, because like as I'm listening to you, I kind of traced out a little bit. I looked up a little bit about your background, and it just sounds so similar. I went from a small town in the middle of Texas, and like, all right, I'm not doing anything here. Fled over to New Mexico. I just didn't get as far as you did. And then quickly realized that I loved it, and I went far, and I got into a good position. But then, you're in a town and there are 50,000 people, and it may be a tourist destination, but that's the cap. And like, there's no progression. There was like nothing more I could have done in Santa Fe unless I'd somehow like managed to convince someone to give me money to open a restaurant. And like, who's going to give a 23, 24-year-old money to open a restaurant? I was just like,
no, now
I've done about what I can do.
But
but who knows? And so I'm like, I don't want to go back to Pampa, Texas, in the middle of West Texas, because nothing's there.
Yeah. Like,
what is the closest thing I can do to my hometown? And so I ended up going to a larger city in Oklahoma, Tulsa, and then Omaha. And it was like, it's like bigger town than that. It's close to where I grew up, so it feels familiar, but there's more opportunity.
I've only driven through Oklahoma, so I don't like it very much. Oklahoma and Pennsylvania, when you drive from Arizona to Massachusetts, is like you have to drive through the whole state. So I would with Oklahoma.
Well, I would say like it'd be like judging Arizona by like one of the unpopulated corners. If you're in Tulsa, if you're in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma's great. If you're like in Enid, and like I'm sorry to anyone who's listening who might be from Enid, Oklahoma, but like there's nothing there. Like there just isn't.
Yeah, when I'm just around people, I just the middle of America, I'm not as exposed. Like really, I'm starting to like really enjoy like Chicago. Except that one time I broke down and had like the guy that picked me up at a tow truck with no teeth and got bitten by mosquitoes. Like that was not great. But now I'm starting to like Illinois a little bit better. And I like but I haven't really been exposed. Like obviously living in Arizona isn't quite. It's not the coast. I love Colorado. I've been to Aspen and Denver quite a bit, but I've never been to Seattle or Portland. And, so it's like I have a lot to learn. And I love that, cocktails and education in the bar industry is now not just like, in these certain areas. It's everywhere. And you're seeing like, no matter where you live now, going off what you said, you can make an amazing place for your community, no matter where you are, and like make a living for yourself. If you do a good job, people will come, because now people are being more educated on like what's good and what's consistent, and like maintaining staff, like staff retention and all that, all those things coming together like as a business in any town, like I'm from a small town. There's people that some of my friends have done really well for themselves, like in these hospitality jobs or whatever in these smaller towns. So it doesn't matter where you live. If you do a good job, I think you can do well, no matter where.
You can.
Yeah.
I agree. That's true. But the two biggest and most competitive markets are the West and East Coast. So you chose East, and so you land in New York. Where do you work when you get there?
When I got to New York City.
Yeah.
Originally, so I moved pretty abruptly. I went to Cape Cod for the summer and popped Bud Lights, and worked at a French restaurant. And then I, saved up money, sold my car, took the bar 5-day, and I walked around with oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I had horrible office outfit on, walking around Brooklyn, giving resumes out to at the time Prime Meats. I remember the bar manager at the time, I won't name any names, threw it in the trash can, which I've called him out since. And then I ended up getting a job actually at Clover Club. Was my first job in New York, but as a manager. So they were opening up another bar, and so their focus was on that. So they needed more of a management, I wouldn't say, they hired a GM and everything, but they needed more of a floor, a shift manager. So they offered to train, I trained behind the bar. I could jump back there, cover people on breaks, and do parties and such. But that was an experience and probably a good thing. But I got an apartment in the Upper East Side of Manhattan and worked in downtown Brooklyn. So who does that? So It was pretty funny. Any New Yorker will know how backwards that is. And then from there, through other people, I opened up Maison Premier in Brooklyn as well. Before there was anything really going on in Williamsburg on Bedford. Now there's a Gucci across the street or some crazy stuff. When I was there, in the middle of dead of winter, there was literally there was nothing. It was completely desolate. There was nothing going on there. But yeah, it was a really cool experience, and it fit me because I came from fine dining, and I also was interested in doing the cocktail thing. So it was that good middle ground for me with Maison. And then, just got the opportunity
On and on from there.
More and more.
Yeah. And I've got to wonder, did you know that you were good at this at the time? Were you just I think I've found a place that I can shine? Were you I hope they don't figure out that they hired me, and I hope I can make it work here? Where were you emotionally in this? Did you believe in yourself, or was it still new and kind of?
I mean, yeah. I was really driven. I was a really hard worker. My work ethic, coming from where I come from, it's blue collar. It's just you just work, you work. Kept my head down, kind of I'd pick up shifts. I'd just not complain. I would just do the work and, study my butt off, when I was off work, by reading and doing what I needed to do to kind of catch up, because it was kind of I was a little in over my head coming to New York from where I was. And it was a little bit of fake it till you make it, to be honest. But sure. I think through my work ethic and I guess me being a little bit cheeky, the banter, I guess you can say, I kind of got away with it.
Yeah.
I think that is a make or break with people who kind of, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but you can know all the specs in the world, and you can have read every book in the world and know all the history, but that is not the most important thing to me. I think it's important to have a knowledge of the history of our craft and to know specs and but for me, I'm more of a culinary driven drinks maker and more of a service orientated person. It's so, for me, it's all about reading a guest and making a great experience and having fun. And so that's kind of my style. It is more about what you bring to the table. For me, what's worked for me is that I'm just good. I guess it's good. I'm good with people. And I got a bit of cheeky wit to me, if you will. And, and I'm, and I can also make the drinks. And so it's that balance. So some people have been why is this person more accredited than this person? I'm like, well, sometimes it's more of like your charisma and like how you interact with people, how you make people feel than it is like, well, I did these drinks are perfect. I'm like, yeah, but you didn't look me in the eye once. It's these kind of things that set you apart as a bartender. That's kind of worked for me, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the truth is, until maybe AI takes over the jobs and the robots doing it, it is a business of people serving people. And if you're pissing off people, they're not going to come back. I mean, additionally, if the drinks suck, they're not going to come back too.
Right.
But like in the hierarchy,
mediocre drinks because it's a fun place, or I just drink whiskey,
I mean, I said it earlier, that Matador bar in Santa Fe, it is dive bar. It is beer shot. And there's, I mean, if you go in the daytime, maybe you get a drink. You could probably ask them for it. But like, I wasn't going there for the drinks. Well, I was going there for the drinks, but I wasn't going there for the drinks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
I was going there for the
bars I go
camaraderie.
to are those types of bars because it's just like, I don't want to deal with the, like, I don't want to deal with the cocktail thing. Like, all I do, well, not maybe right now, but like when I'm like working full time, especially when I was like my last job here in New York, like when I go out to a bar, I've been in a cocktail bar, like doing R&D or like, spot checking people on cocktails. Like the last thing I want to do is go and have a drink and deal with a menu. I want to go and have a whiskey and a cider or a glass of wine and chill and not talk about it.
So I, again, in the like certification thing, I did a similar route to you, but I did the shorter bar, the like online side, and I went deeper into the CMS. So I was a little more quartermaster somms.
Yeah.
And I got all the way up to, I almost passed the advance. I failed the tasting portion, which that was on me. I got nervous and I missed time, but it's neither here nor there.
Man. I never got that far at all.
It's intense. I bring it up because through that whole training, like through all those tastings, all those freaking blind tastings that I did in the mornings, I'm spitting, but still it's just like again and again, I would only drink beer because like at the end of that, I'm like, I don't want a wine. I don't. I just want a nice, simple, uncomplicated beer. Like you go to a menu and you're like, China, or no. Give me like whiskey. I'm done.
You're like puckering. You're like, you are literally now a grape. Like you're like a raisin inside your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, and you have to tell your dentist because they need to watch your teeth because it's high acid and like all sorts of weird things that you don't think about.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, totally. I mean, even like with straw tasting, like drinks and everything. One of my colleagues was like, "Wouldn't straw taste drinks because the citrus it was like affecting like people who have everybody has different types of like softer teeth, more whatever." But he's like, "Yeah, my dentist was like, you can't really have much citrus anymore. So like straw tasting any kind of like acidic drinks that have any kind of lemon, lime, whatever, he like wouldn't do it." Because it's the same. You might as well drink a whole drink, and then like even if you straw taste it, it's the same. Like you're still affecting your teeth. So
yeah. I've heard a rumor, and I don't know if it's just something that people say, but it's like almost better if you're going to eat sweets to eat them right, like away, like and not like spread them out, because it's like worse for your teeth, because it's like constant exposure. And I bet it's a similar thing where it's like. Yeah, if you're gonna have a drink it there instead of
get
like
all
throughout
the
the day
or all the acid, and then go brush your teeth.
One go. Yeah. I was gonna ask, how did you work out? Like, how did you develop your ability to create drinks?
Well, it definitely was a lot of like absorbing information for a while. I remember at Clover Club, but I was just a manager. I was like very new. It was very nerve-wracking and again out of my element. Like and there was a tasting and like everybody could present drinks and I'm like okay, I'm gonna give it a whirl. I made like something that I basically recreated a classic that already existed and everybody was like, yeah, that's like already a thing. I'm like, okay, like I was like kind of I felt so stupid.
I put gin, Campari, and vermouth together. This is incredible.
I promise we will get right back to Andrew and Jillian, but if you could leave a comment, it would mean the world to me. I love hearing from all of you, and it tells me both what you're interested in, what you want to hear more of. It's awesome. So that's all I've got. Now back to Jillian and Andrew.
I don't know. I've like a sidecar variation or like a
Okay.
or a crusta. I guess I pretty much made a crusta with like cacao or I don't know, whatever. But either way,
If Tony Abeganum can put a little spice rum in a crusta and call it a new drink, like we can all do it. It's fine.
I mean,
yeah.
we're all making just iterations of each other's drinks or classics.
At this point, yeah.
I mean, and you know what? As long as it, like, at the end of the day, I always say, does it fucking taste good? Like, cool. Yeah, that's like my motto. So, but yeah, so that was embarrassing. And I was like, fake it till you make it kind of thing. And just like learning, New York is very overwhelming. I just moved here. I didn't know I was living on a 5-story walk up on the Upper East Side, working in Brooklyn, like, my schedule was insane, and it was just the sensory overload when you move here is crazy. Like, I just got back to New York. It's been about 6 weeks now, and it's definitely taken me time to adjust. Like, I didn't feel like I like coming here for a few days and leaving, but now that I'm back here living, it's everything's just harder. And
I've only been for one week when I was, I think, 19, and like it is loud all the time. There are people everywhere, and it just never stops. And like that was 1 week, so I can only imagine.
You acclimate to it, like,
Yeah.
But like now I'm living above a bar, and there's and you're hearing the music, but I've already adjusted. But like when you first moved here, like now I know how New York works, and I know the subway systems and all that kind of stuff. But when you first move here, you're 25, you don't have anybody that in the world here. And you're trying to figure out the transportation, you don't have any money. I was sleeping on an air mattress, like all this kind of stuff. So I'm glad I did it when I was younger. If I was now doing that, I probably wouldn't have. I probably honestly failed.
Bounced out or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, it's definitely, so I was always very like empathetic when like I knew people that were like moving here to like help them out as much as I could, because I didn't have that. But anyways, you had asked me. The question at hand was,
well, I think it's hard to take the bar out of the city it's in, and
yeah,
I think you definitely benefited from moving to such a big city. I think,
at the time I was very lucky, I think, when I did do it. Like, being a woman in the industry at the time I moved was very lucky. Obviously, it was very hard, but people were starting to be like, oh shit, I have to hire women. And so that's kind of like, I benefited from that, which is shitty to say. But it was like, people were starting to call out the fact that women were being treated equally in the service industry, and that they needed to hire more female bartenders. And so that, I think, is a big factor in why I got some of the jobs that I did. And I'm just being honest. Sure.
And I mean, maybe at the beginning you were recreating classics, and maybe at the beginning you didn't have that basis, but you didn't stay at the beginning. So I knew of you through the Dead Rabbit. And so while you worked there, that bar, if I remember correctly, 2 times the world's best bar. I've seen some of your cocktails from there, and they're not recreations of like classics.
I'm more culinary driven. Yeah.
It seems like you took it and ran with it.
So learning to make drinks was like, that was at Clover Club. That was definitely like made me feel embarrassed. But when I went on to work at Maison, I didn't come up with the original menu, but I contributed to that menu kind of like after the first or second, because I kind of started like learning about flavors and styles, and like I was reading more books, and I was learning about like the caliber and like, what was the standard in New York. It was just different than Phoenix. And so it was kind of cool to contribute and get a few drinks on the menu. And then like from there, going to like Death & Co. is where I learned how to make drinks. And it was really intimidating at first. Like, I mean, getting the job there was like, I almost like fainted. I don't even know how I got the job. Yeah. Really. I mean,
are you sure?
The bar manager at the time was friends with the bar manager at Maison, and used to come in every Friday and like watch me work service, and it was bananas in there. Like, and I was fast. I guess I was fast as fuck. I don't know. Me and Natasha David like just killed it. We had like 4 deep, did all the service tickets. I mean, it was crazy. and it was a really hard bar to work. So he's like, "You got a resume?" I'm like, "Yeah, I have a fucking resume. What?" So, because they needed to hire another girl, and like one of their bartenders was leaving. So, then I split my time and whatnot. And very quickly, I was the bar manager after like about a year. So, but just sponging, like learning from like these amazing people that were like the original DNC staff was like thinking about why you would use this rye over that rye for this drink, or why don't you try this bitter, why don't you try infusing this, why don't you try whatever, and like using other people's creative ingredients. Like, it was crazy. I sponged it all in, and very quickly, I think the first menu I was a part of, I got 5 drinks on the menu, and I was like, holy shit. But it was because I was just listening and learning, and I realized that I did have a good palate, and I just kind of had this, like, for me, it's not like, yeah, I know templates, but for me, it's like a feeling. It's like I don't know. Again, it's more like culinary driven, or just like I kind of have this gut feeling about things. It's not like oh, can they learn from you? I'm like, I don't have this like methodical thing, or like this like scientific explanation of why this works, but I'm like, I just kind of fucking like over time you just know.
Yeah. No, I've been looking for this answer, and I think the more and more people I ask about it, I think there isn't one. Like, I can think about a couple of drinks ingredients, and I could be like, I think that would work. And it's like almost I have a sense of like, maybe I'll put more of this, less of this, and kind of like, I know that somewhere in my mind I'm probably thinking about body, I'm probably thinking about alcohol, but like, I don't know. Like, there have been times where I've been like, I think that this drink would work in my mind, and like I make it, and maybe I'll modify the percentages a little bit more of one, less of another ingredient, but it usually will work. Like it just kind of does. It's weird.
Yeah, over time you know what works and what doesn't work, and then you build off that, and the templates, like, and once you understand, like, first of all, it's not about you, it's about the guests that you're serving. So like understanding where you are. So like you're not making a menu for yourself, you're making a menu for the guests that are coming into that specific space. But what's sweet to you might not be sweet to them. It's like what like read the room, know what people are asking for, and how big is your menu, because based on the size of your menu and how it was built out is going to like dictate like how creative, like not creative, but like how like crazy you could get, if you know what I mean. So I think it really depends on the space and like the variety that you're able to work with. But understanding balance is really important, and understanding ice is really important, like dilution, round building, things like that. Those are the things that are really important to me, because it makes or breaks a drink. With drinks, like, I'd rather go and get a great daiquiri than go and get like a sour drink that tastes like whatever. Like, if you can't make
unbalanced green apple juice or something.
Yeah, like when Joaquin Simo was like one of my mentors and good friends, and I learned a lot from him with drink making. It's kind of like he would say, like, a chef, like, we would say like make an omelet, make an egg, is like, for us it's making a daiquiri. It's like, if you need to understand the balance, like these basic skills, and if you can't do that, or like make an old fashioned correctly and understand that ice. So that's really important to me and the staff that I've been able to train. So
those are 2 good examples too, because there's nowhere to hide. It's just
right. It's basic ingredients. Like, you can be creative in those things. So I've had people be like, oh, like, let's make this Smith and Cross daiquiri. That was a thing for a while, and I was like, it was a lot. That to me is a specific thing that if I asked for a daiquiri, I wouldn't give that to somebody, but I would create a unique drink in that style for somebody to order. You know what I mean? But creating drinks, kind of, I don't know. I didn't realize I had the palate. I did. But I think that my wine training came in very handy for me to be able to like verbalize things. And what I love about the SOM training I had was that. And that's like when you're educating your clients, when you're educating your guests, and your staff, it's the verbiage that really helps like people like tell you what they want. When people are like, oh, say smooth, or I want, like when you educate your guests on like how to order the things that they actually want is really important. And the verbiage comes in very handy when you kind of can build that up with the people that come in over and over again. And like building that with, especially with like spirits, people like, oh, like I don't know about Irish whiskey, which is one of my like more expertise, or, building that like, okay, where do we start? Okay, you build that verbiage with them, and then they're able to tell other bartenders at other bars, and then they build that knowledge. I think that's like a really cool thing when you can educate your guests and your fellow bartenders on that. It's important to explain what you want. So
Sure,
and not the word smooth. Yeah.
The only word that anyone knows how to describe cocktails, whiskey, wine, smooth.
Yeah.
I think part of that too, and I think it's a direction that I was hoping we could talk about briefly. Part of that conversation that happens with the guest happens before you get a chance to talk to them. Because I wanted to talk to you about menus and menu design too. Because I know that's somewhere that you have thought deeply. And I was looking for it before we got on, and someone brought me one of the Dead Rabbit menus. I don't know if you're allowed to take them out, but he did. Yeah, but anyways.
Well, you could buy them. I don't know which one you have.
Oh, he must have bought it. Well, I hope he bought it. Yeah.
Whatever.
But
not my problem anymore. I'm just kidding.
Not at all. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I was really upset. Like, it's small enough. I think I put it somewhere to keep it. Yeah, I put it somewhere to keep it safe, and that means I'll never see it again. So I just I couldn't find it before this, which is too bad. But yeah, tell me about menu design. Like, it's such a thing.
Yeah, I think I had never created the menus any of the places until I got to Dead Rabbit, where I wasn't the creator. It was mostly Sean Muldoon, who's the creator of Dead Rabbit and one of the former partners, but he was definitely that visionary when it came to concept, anything design, and all that kind of stuff. So the menus were really his idea. The comic book was really cool, but like we all collaborated on like ideas and everything like that. And the drink names kind of went along with the comic books. We had friends in the industry that were the characters. That was, I thought, really cool. But yeah, we all kind of like put in our ideas and like who we wanted in the comics, not ourselves. That would have been goofy. Yes.
I'm pretty sure I saw David Wondrich in there. I'm sure there's lots of people I probably don't even know. Like,
it was really fun, and everybody had like everybody completely signed off on like whatever was in there before it was printed and all that good stuff. So it was really fun, and I have a great we have a great poster of like all the characters that we gave to everybody that was involved.
That's awesome.
But, yeah, menu design, I mean, like, it takes a lot of people to pull something like that off. I think that, Dead Rabbit really changed the game, or, like, even The Merchant, which is, like, the bar that Sean Muldoon and Jack McGarry had in Belfast. They really did change the game with the menu, and it created a category that now is, like, really intense. And, like, the craziness of, like, what people have come up with is pretty amazing. It's, like, all over the board. And the storytelling that's involved, which is kind of, like, where like we were coming from. It's a storytelling, and now everybody's taken it to this other level, and it's about telling their own stories, and they're like artists and representing people in their community, and I mean it's all over the board. So I think it's really cool to see what's happened in the menu aspect of our industry and the story, which has brought the storytelling to a whole other level, and that represents like their personalities of the people who created the bars and the concept, and or in some cases it's about the how the drinks are made, and like educating people on different techniques and all sorts of things. So it's just like really cool to see. But it's curating artists, it's curating storytellers, it's historians, writer. I mean, all sorts of things, like ghost writers. I mean, it takes a lot of people to do this kind of stuff. It's not like it just happens.
You on a Saturday or something
and then
crazy.
On the R&D side, it's like when we did the comic books, we were doing 30 drinks or something like that. every 6 months. So it's like once I put one out, you have to literally you have maybe a month or two before you get to start R&D for the next one. So that's pretty intense when you're already working and traveling for work. Like, and it's hard on the team because, you know, obviously, but it does create this like constant, you know, creative flow, and it definitely like pushes the staff to be part of something and take ownership of it, which I think really helps. Because when like the first menu I did for Dead Rabbit, it was, you know, everybody kind of submitted drinks, but it was really like I did most of the menu and like, you know, did some R&D, but it was like I think I was like I don't know, it was like stupid. It was like 68 drinks. I don't even remember. It was a lot.
Yeah.
But it was like me by myself on like every Sunday, like in there and whatever, you know. When it became more of like a team thing, it became a lot easier. But it was like having to explain, like giving people feedback and then like helping them tweak drinks. And so it's like a whole other level of time and perspective to help them grow and educate them. And I've not been the best at that at times. Like, well, why? I'm like, because it doesn't taste good, you know. But like you have to explain why and how it can be better. And you have to like.
There is also an aspect of like, how is the guest going to read this drink? What is the guest going to assume this is going to taste like from the ingredients? Like, will they self-select out, even though this is something that maybe does taste good? You know, like there are a lot of angles that you could look at when it comes to drink creation.
It's like, you know, we have, you know, you have a wireframe and you can be like, okay, like this is what's done, this is what needs work, this is what's still like open to make, so that like everybody can see. So like, and there's other ways to do it where you can like assign people, like I want you to work on a highball with whiskey and blah blah blah, like give them 3 things. Like we did that at Blacktail. That could work too when you have more junior bartenders, or like pair them with a senior bartender to work on drinks. So like there's ways to do it, but definitely like when you just give it like at Death & Co, it was more like it was only 5 or 6 of us, and like experienced drinks makers. Well, not me at the time, but you know, it was a very like small team that we really it was just us, and it was easy to manage. And the bar manager was like, hey, like here's your drink, I just tweaked it. And it was like, holy shit, like I didn't like, it was like that was a learning experience. When you have a larger team and you do that, it's like maybe some of these feelings get hurt, you have to educate them or like explain why and go through it, you know. And there's a lot more people to do that with. So it's when they're like, oh yeah, like anybody can go to R&D and submit a drink. I'm like, no, I can't have 20 people in here. Like it's very hard to manage. Also, like when you're responsible for like a liquor cost to be X amount, and like somebody comes in and it's like, here's some, you know, 375 ml carrot eau de vie is like $100. You're like, no, like, you know, like they're not thinking about it in the same way. So it's like, it's a lot of time. It's just more and more time. And like, they're not thinking about it in the same way as like a bar manager or beverage director would. It's great for learning, but when you're like, you have to be realistic about the time and the experience of the people you're working with, and also educate people to be better. So it's just like, it's a lot to manage, yeah. But it's fun.
Yeah, I mean, but for some reason we keep showing up at work, we keep doing it.
Yeah, no, it's a fun part for sure.
I know that you've got to get to that tasting before too long, so I only have 2 other questions for you.
No, I'm good. I forfeited that.
Oh no,
No, it's all good. I honestly,
there will be another if I know liquor reps in any city in the world.
No, it's all
just
good.
tell them that you're thinking about changing your by the glass selection, and they'll come knocking down the doors. Yes.
Well, we're not open yet, so no, my counterpart's there, so it's all good.
Perfect. What do you think about the current state of the industry? Like, where do you think we're at? What could we do better, and where do you see us going?
Right now, I'm really liking, like I was saying, like I did mention before, like I'm liking that there is great bars everywhere. I'm liking that, you know, everybody's starting to realize that like they have to do a good job. Like they have to make an effort. It's not like getting away. Like I came from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, where it was like, you know, you get like sour mix and it is what it is, and you know, 175s of who knows what Chardonnay.
Yes.
You can get away with.
Negra Modelo is a craft beer. Yes.
That's fine. I'll stick with
Yeah.
that. But like, people like you just can't get away with being mediocre or less than people. Like there is like that competitiveness of, and people are being educated, like your guests are being more educated on what they're drinking and eating and where they're spending their money. And I really like to see this making people up their game, and no matter where you are in the world, really, for the most part. And I like that things are not as like serious. I like these bars that are making great drinks and having a good time, but still giving good service. And it's like creating like a great community and culture within their staff and within their bars for people to come in. And that, I don't know, in certain cities, I think that there's like a great camaraderie between like
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
supporting each other. Yeah. I like seeing other bars support each other. And like, hey, you're in the East Village, like go down the road and go to this bar, blah, blah, blah. And like everybody's cool and friends and supports each other. And you're seeing people like grow their businesses, and bartenders are getting opportunities to open up their own bars, but actually knowing more about the business, and getting that education. So like those are things that I'm seeing that I really like. I like that there's more diversity and equality, and I like that there's better platforms for people to speak their voices. I don't love the Instagram like celebrity thing, but
Yeah.
maybe because I suck at it, I don't know.
I mean, the pictures of the drinks are fun.
I mean, how many pictures of drinks are you gonna look at? Like, I'm sorry.
You'd be surprised if you looked at my feed. You look at a couple, and the algorithm just goes for it. So
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. But now that, our industry has grown, and like it just takes like, 15 years ago, did I think that I'd be like doing like, PR calls and working with marketing and like, dealing with design and creating menus and working with like ghostwriters and all these things. Like it's so cool and so interesting to learn about other industries. So I'm very thankful that the network I've built and the people I've got to meet along the way, including yourself.
Well, thank you. And I think you stand in a really special spot. Like I think that it's really uplifting to think that, even someone who maybe didn't have a strong drink building ability at the beginning, if you just keep showing up and trying your hardest and learn to see where you can go, it's incredible. You just stack it day after day, shift after shift, year after year, and then all of a sudden you're looking around like you said, you're taking PR calls and you're working with ghostwriters and putting together a menu and running what
Reading
many
books and doing
consider to
other
be one of the
stuff.
best
But
bars in the world. It's crazy.
It's something that's like, people have different palettes. I think it's, again, like going back like to what I said before, like it's not about you. It's like knowing the audience that you're serving. And depending on how big your menu is, like, yes, you can get a little weird or whatever, but like always having something familiar in each of your drinks. Right now, I'm totally out of my element working on a Japanese menu, like a Japanese omakase cocktail bar.
Cool.
And I'm like,
that's super cool.
So great, because I'm learning so much about things I don't know much about, and it's giving me new ingredients and more like new inspiration, which is amazing. It's like having like a new candy store to go to, pick ingredients, and so that's great. And every bar I worked at, like other people have their ideas have inspired me to make new drinks, and then like I've made ingredients that have then inspired my colleagues to make other great drinks, and it just kind of goes on and on. So just learn from I just advise like learn from your colleagues and be open-minded, and definitely if you are in a managerial or a teaching role, to definitely teach in a way that you're explaining the whys in a responsible fashion, because thinking about that is just saying no is not great at all to anybody.
Yeah,
We've all been there. So.
This drink is not right versus here's what I think could make this drink better.
Yeah, what about this? The collaboration, and that's why the team building a menu is great. Obviously, if there's too many cooks in the kitchen, and it gets a little muddy and chaotic. But if everybody's respectful, and at the end of the day, the person in charge is calling the shots and be like, okay, let's bank it, let's go, move on. And then like, it's just like it's like sleeping on it. You sleep on it, but after a certain, like, okay, we've tried 5 iterations of this drink, moving on, like next venue. You have to keep going. So like setting those boundaries so you can like not be there all day drinking the same Manhattan variation that everybody in the room is making.
Your strawberry mezcal mojito is not working. We're moving on.
Yes.
Game over. No.
Yeah, that's been done.
Yes.
So it just depends on your bar and like the experience of your bartenders, like how you want to set up that wireframe, or like how you're gonna delegate them to make drinks as a team. Really is dependent on your bars, your staff. So
Jillian, if someone is listening at home and they want to find out more about you or follow you online, is there somewhere they could go?
Yeah, at Jillian Vose on Instagram, same for Facebook.
Perfect. And do you have any big projects coming up, or a little too soon to see? Or?
No. So I am currently back in New York. I left Charleston. So Hazel and Apple, the bar I was pursuing with my former business partner, didn't work out. But I'm now working with the Cocktail Kingdom Hospitality Group, opening up Cocktail Omakase in the Lower East Side. It should be open in like the 3rd week of March. So I look forward to seeing everybody there. And we're going to be
I'm glad we talked now and not later. So yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, by the time that this comes out, it'll either be about to open or open. So go check it out.
Cool.
For anyone listening who didn't have the ability to write that down in the car, something like that, I will have what she mentioned all in the show notes. And yeah, I'm going to have to let Jillian get back to planning the menu for her new spot. So thanks for coming on.
Along with, of course, Matt Ressler and Philip Christian Clark and some great guys with
Of course. Yeah. I mean, based on what you said, you need a team pitching these drinks, as far as I understand. So,
yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, and thank you for all the people that are listening, and I hope to see you soon.
That's the show, my friends. Thank you for listening to Serves You Right. If you have not checked it out, go to servesyouRightPod.com to see what we're up to, see old episodes, and so much more. All right. I'll see you next time.